everybody, thank you for joining me, Krista, with Imagine That Scrapbooks and Gifts for ITTV Presents Try It Out Thursdays, week number 45. What we're going to be doing in this week's online class is working with stencils, gesso, and gelatos. Three of my favorite things to use. They're all great products, so make sure you stay tuned to see how to use those products. But before we get started, I do need to pick a winner from ITTV Presents Try It Out Thursdays, week number 44. And the winner from last week is Miss Joni Geller. If you'll please email us at imaginethatscrapbooks@yahoo.com to claim your prize, we'll make sure we get it out to you. And if you would like to be a winner on ITTV Presents, make sure you leave a comment on this week's video, either on YouTube or on Facebook. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Alright, let's go get started. Okay, so for today's ITTV, what we're going to be doing is working with stenciling again. And if you have any questions on basic stenciling, make sure you check out the ITTV that's linked at the bottom of this video for some instructions on stenciling. But what we're going to be doing is pairing our stencil with some gesso as well as gelatos. So the gesso, what we're going to do is we're going to place our stencil onto our piece of cardstock. And gesso is a canvas primer or a medium that you can use. I do it a lot for different types of texture. And so I just have my little palette knife here, and we're just going to literally kind of smear it randomly through the stencil. We're going to not worry about covering everything perfectly because we want it to give it that uneven tone. Okay, so we've got that there. We're going to pull off our stencil and see how it's given us that texture and dimension with the gesso. So it does take a couple minutes for that to dry depending on how heavy you put it on. So instead of waiting for this one to dry, and I normally don't like to hit gesso with the heat tool because sometimes it causes it to bubble up, but if you are a little impatient like I normally am, you can hit it quickly with the heat tool. But I have one that is already dried, and you can see here that there is no rhyme or reason to how I added the gesso. I just stuck it on there through the stencil. Okay, so this is dry, so now what we're going to do is be using some gelatos. And I'm going to do mostly pink and purple, but we're going to throw in a little bit of green and red. So gelatos are a creamy pigment. They look very similar to a chapstick or a lip gloss, but they work just like a Crayola, or I guess if you were smearing lipstick onto something. So we're just going to kind of go over this with some color. And again, no rhyme or reason to how I'm adding the color on. We're just going to definitely put it on there. Alright, we just want to make sure that we're going to cover this whole thing. Alright, now you can take a paper towel or a wet wipe. This is a wet paper towel. We're just going to kind of smear it all together. Because this is a pigment, it is going to react and blend with water. And you can always add additional colors over it. So we're going to just give it this color. And I'm going to add a little bit more green in there. And we're going to darken up with a little bit of red. You can do as many layers as you want. Just do keep in mind it is reactant with water, so it is going to alter it every time you do it. Okay. You can go any which way that you want. Just keep in mind you don't want to kind of go back and forth because you could make your project look a little muddy. Alright, well there we go. We have our textured background using the gesso and the gelatos. Just kind of gives it a fun color. So now let's build our card. So I've got all of our pieces here. We're going to start gluing it down. I love using gelatos. They're fun. I use them a lot on mixed media projects for a background color. I use them quite a bit too on page layouts. Just so much that you can do with them. Okay, So now we're gonna adhere this down. Let's see. I think I want it to go this way so it's a little bit more variety of that color, since I did get a little heavy-handed on the purple down here, but hey, that's okay. And a lot of times I really don't know what my project is going to look like until I start working, so it's always fun to kind of watch it come together. Alright, don't forget this week's coupon code. It's going to be Gelatos. Make sure you grab those. We have tons of great colors. You can use them for all sorts of different projects. I need a little bit more adhesive there. Alright, there you go. A textured card using stencils, gelatos, and gesso. Well, we hope you enjoyed this video, and we will see you next week.